Hi everybody, it's the Ruthless Jobber here. Welcome back to the channel. This is something very different. I've kind of tried it before, dabbled a little bit, didn't quite work out, but I've kind of been a bit desperate to give it another go. So yeah, here I am trying to give it another go. This is Star Trek Adventures Captain's Log. It's the solo version of the Star Trek Adventures role-playing game. Now, I'm not really a Star Trek fan. Which is, anyone who's kind of watched any of the wrestling videos that I've produced, you may well know that I'm not even really a wrestling fan. Yet my channel is basically playing a wrestling game, and I'm not really a Star Trek fan. So yeah, I thought I'd play a Star Trek game. I have watched all of Enterprise. I kind of watched that in preparation for playing this game. But I mean, I've watched a handful of episodes of some of the other series, but I'm not a fan. I'm not someone who reads up on it. I'm not someone who's got any of the expanded media, or I don't. You asked me a question I couldn't answer. I can't even really remember much about Enterprise. So yeah, a bit odd really for a non-fan, I guess, to be playing the role-playing game. But it kind of appeals to me, sort of serving or commanding one of those big ships. I've always been a bit of a sci-fi sort of geek, but as I say, not Star Trek specifically. But yeah, let's give it a go. I don't want to babble too much. This is kind of session 0, just to sort of take you through a few things. So I've got my character here, which is Kingston O'Neill. Pronouns are he, him, and he is a human. Captain, commanding officer. He is the commanding officer of this ship here, the Trafalgar. We'll get onto that in a minute. Got a few values here. A couple I've made up myself. A couple of them I got from the book or rolled on in the book. The first one was one I sort of got myself. It's older people may not know better, but they've made more mistakes. So in other words, when someone older than you tries to tell you what's best for you or what you shouldn't do, they're not necessarily saying I know better than you, but they've already made that mistake that you're about to make. So in other words, listen to your elders, listen to people who are wiser and more experienced than you. Good leaders get their hands dirty. Yeah, that's perfect. I think that's how leadership should work. I think you should, as a leader, obviously within reason, but certainly get stuck in, get involved. Good mystery is irresistible. Yeah, I think from a gaming point of view, you want to sort of follow where there's potentially a mystery. And then I've got push me too far and you'll see my ugly side, which is probably a little bit of my real personality coming out there. I'm pretty easygoing, but I've got a limit. Everyone's got a limit, and if you push it too far, I might get a little bit ugly. Equipment or other details. Well, his aspirations were to explore. When he was sort of growing up, he wanted to explore the universe, but he gave up on that, and I'll tell you why in just a second. Basically, his environment was he lived on an isolated colony, and it was a kind of utopian paradise. So there wasn't really any strife, there wasn't any trouble. So when he was sort of growing up and he wanted to explore, he was kind of under the impression that the whole universe was this great. And it's kind of, why do I need to go and explore? Why do I want to go and explore? Why would I want to do that when everything is perfect and great? Maybe there were some things that happened in life that he just eventually kind of wanted to get into Starfleet, and then somewhere down the line things have happened and yeah, he wanted to go and explore again, so he kind of came back to it, if you like. So early outlook, I did roll on these, by the way. They were very lucky rolls to get everything sort of Starfleet. So yeah, early outlook was Starfleet. Maybe he was encouraged by his parents or guardians or friends or whatever, family, people he knew. Starfleet would be a great thing to get into. So he did. Education was the Starfleet Academy, and he followed the command track. So career length, he's a novice, and this is his first command. I wanted that kind of thing where, because I'm new to Star Trek as well and new to the game, I'm learning as much as the character is learning. Career events I rolled up on. He discovered an artifact at some point, which obviously had some sort of significance. I don't know what yet. Maybe that'll come out during play. And the same with his special commendation. He got a special commendation for something. Again, don't know what yet. That hopefully, maybe, will come out in play. My focuses are inspiration, xenobiology, stellar cartography, interrogation, ship design and construction, and bedside manner. So a little bit of medical in there. Yeah, just a sort of tiny little bit really. So let's have a look then at his stats. We've got, well, control of 12. I wanted that purely because he is a sort of commander and a captain. He's got daring of 10, fitness of 8. So he's very daring. He wants to sort of get involved, but he's not the fittest of captains. Insight of 7, presence of 9. So he's quite a bold character. Hopefully can kind of show up in a room and people will sort of look at him. I mean, they're not the highest scores in the world, 9, but there's something about him there. And reason of 10, so hopefully he can sort of show some form of reason and negotiate with people. Obviously we've got the interrogation focus. I don't always want to go that route, but he's got it. We have his disciplines then: command of 4, con of 3, so a little bit of he knows how to fly a ship. Security of 2, engineering 5. I thought that might be quite interesting really. Perhaps he sort of started off in engineering and kind of fell into a command maybe. And finally science 2 and medicine 2. And then the ship, so we have got it's the USS Trafalgar, or the Starship, the Starfleet. Is it? They don't actually say Starfleet, do they? They just say the Starship. I can't remember how they say it now. I'm trying to think how Jonathan Archer said. This is Jonathan Archer of the Starship. Yeah, it's just Starship, I think. So this will be, this is Kingston O'Neill, the Starship Trafalgar, whatever, the Federation Starship. Yeah, the registry NCC 73677. I can't remember how I got that now. Actually, I think I just looked up some sort of website that had a load there. Talents, it's a rugged design. I can't remember what that exactly means, but I'll look it up, when it sort of comes into play. And just one little sort of quirk of the ship: when the ship's tractor beam is activated, the sonic showers stop working. Now, whether we actually ever see that in play, we'll have to wait and see, I guess. Maybe during some sort of downtime, something will happen and we'll have a comedy moment. I don't know, we'll see. And we have, it's a Nova class, scale of 3, so it's only kind of like it's certainly nowhere near as big as the Enterprise. It's quite small really. It's still got a relatively big crew, I'd say. Without looking it up, I don't really want to hazard a guess, but my kind of idea is that there's at least sort of 80 people on board. That I may look at the book and it may say we can only fit 30. If that's the case, that's the case. But we're not tiny. We haven't just got a crew of like 15 or 20 on board. But we've got a decent number. And then the ship systems then. So we've got comms of 10, computers of 10, engines 10, sorry, sensors 10, structure 10, structure 8 and weapons 8. And then the departments: command 2, con 2, security 2, engineering 2, science 4, medicine 3. So they will come into play when we want an NPC, one of the crew, one of the officers, one of my team, if you like. So we're talking like the chief of engineering, or the comms officer, or the helmsman. Those kind of important roles when they're doing something, or when their department is doing something, we will roll on those. I have got a dice roller, an online dice roller that we will be using. So if you look up in the top right now, you should see a roll. We'll be using 2 D20s. There we go. And what did we get? A 16 and a 9. That's what we're going to do for our dice rolls. Yeah, that's it basically. Take you through what I've done for the story so far. Now, because I'm new to Star Trek, I wanted a kind of clean slate. I didn't want to be in a situation where I will be using characters, species that are already established in Star Trek, and I'll get something completely wrong, and I'll just get people saying, "Oh, the Andorians wouldn't have done this. That would be totally against their, ethos, totally against their philosophy of whatever," or the Borg don't do that. The Borg have this thing that would make it do that. And I don't want any of that. I don't want any kind of limitations. So I've decided I'm going to start this game, or set this game, in a different galaxy to the galaxy that is in the TV Star Trek, which is the Milky Way, and it has obviously different areas of the Milky Way. I could have created an area that was just kind of unexplored and we meet new species and stuff, but I thought, no, do you know what? Put a bit of a story to it, and basically we've been pulled through a portal, for want of a better word. Let me read what I kind of wrote for the story. So Star Trek Outer Worlds, a Star Trek Adventures Captain's Log playthrough. Captain's Log 2185.1. It's 3 months since the Trafalgar was pulled through an as yet unexplainable, for want of a better word, portal. Initially, the crew were panicked, scared, and many experienced a loneliness like they never thought capable. Not only are they now light years from home, but we also now have no idea where we are. It doesn't even appear to be in our home galaxy. We are hoping to be able to put together a schematic of the stars and objects around us to help identify which galaxy we have fallen into. Some of the crew are making guesses and speculating, but I am reserving judgment until we have some hard facts. After a few weeks, the crew grew accustomed to our predicament, and that, in some ways, our mission hasn't changed. We are still explorers. We just might not be able to send our data to Starfleet, and instead hope that maybe they will find evidence of the Trafalgar many years, perhaps centuries from now, when their exploration of the universe reaches these parts. It also occurred to the crew that perhaps we will be on this mission until the day we die, and without any way of communicating with Starfleet or any of our intergalactic friends, we must fend for ourselves and hope to find new friends with which we can form alliances and trade, perhaps even build lives with. So far, we have met one other species. Thankfully, they seemed friendly enough, but we did help navigate the crew of their ship through an asteroid field. Some of the crew are still unsure about them, but that's got to be expected when meeting any new people. So yeah, we have discovered a species already. I have kind of rolled up a few details on them. Let me just get that up there. So again, I rolled on all of this. There was a couple of things I kind of got a little bit wrong, but I decided to keep them in. They are known as the Azazog, the first species we met in the new galaxy. They are an amphibian type creature, and they have tentacles and pheromone receptors. All this I rolled on. I did kind of, when I was creating them, I think I looked in the wrong part of the book, and I was looking at kind of life, but not species as such, like humanoid kind of species. And I was looking at sort of general life that we could find in the galaxy, and I rolled on a fungus. So, again, I decided to keep it in there, and I thought they grow a fungus on their bodies if they are out of water for too long. So I thought maybe on their ships they've got water tanks of some sort. Later on, I also rolled their environment. They prefer moving water, like rivers and rough oceans. So I decided that perhaps on their ships they have artificial rivers, artificial waterfalls, artificial oceans. So it's running water, moving water that they prefer, and so on their ships they have these environments that they kind of need to recharge or just dip into for a few hours. Maybe they sleep in this water to stop this fungus from growing. Also rolled up that they are a predation species. They only prey on those smaller or weaker than themselves. After I sort of put that in, I kind of thought, well, that's obvious. You it's the food chain, isn't it? You only really prey on those that are weaker than you. But perhaps they do it for fun or for sport rather than necessity, and that's something that we don't agree with. We don't agree with like hunting for sport. We don't know this about them yet, and maybe during our adventure that could be a source of conflict. I guess, maybe. We'll see. So I hope you've enjoyed this quick Session 0 episode. Hope you'll join me on it as well. And any of you who might be into Star Trek a little bit, please help. Because I don't know, certainly things with Starfleet protocol, I guess it kind of goes out the window in our situation. I don't know if there is within the expanded media, or even on TV, or even if just fans in general have created a procedure of what would take place if this kind of thing happened. If you're literally pulled out of our own galaxy, I think Voyager kind of did that. I've watched a few episodes here and there, so I don't really know the ins and outs of it, but I think they weren't they? They were pulled out, although it's still in the same galaxy, I think. But give me some advice. Let me know what you would do, and I hope you join me for the proper episode 1. Take care of yourselves, everybody. I've been the Ruthless Jobber. Goodbye.